we've looked at plants. Now we're moving on to animals. More familiar, after all, we fall into this as well. And so we'll be looking at the structure and function of creatures like ourselves. Of course, animals are characteristically multicellular, like plants, like many fungi. And animals tend to get pretty big. There are some tiny ones, but some quite large. This is achieved by having lots of cells. Any one cell typically isn't all that different in size from a cell in some other eukaryote, but having lots of the cells working together allows animals to get much bigger. Again, a single cell gets too big, it's not going to be able to get enough of the nutrients, oxygen, things like that it needs in, and waste out. So you can't just have one gigantic cell, you need to have many cells working together to have a large organism. Being big lets you do different things. Of course, being small lets you do things that you can't do when you're big as well. So you have different lifestyles. There's also the challenge, getting all those cells coordinated, working together for the homeostasis of the whole organism. And so we'll be looking at the anatomy and physiology of animals. Anatomy, again, what the parts are. Physiology, how they work. No surprise, those two work together closely. Cells can be organized into tissues. Several similar cells working together are a tissue. We have four major categories for animals. You may remember, hopefully you do. Plants, we had three: the dermal, the ground, and the vascular. Animals are four basic types: the epithelial, somewhat similar to the dermal. In plants, this will be thin layers covering things or lining them. Connective, kind of like our ground tissue, that's sort of the everything else, helps hold it all together. Muscle and nerve tissues are unique to animals, associated with animals typically moving around. Muscles, of course, doing the actual moving, they are able to contract and cause motion. Nerves, tissues quickly send signals electrically, and there's also some chemical signaling involved there, and enable animals to respond rapidly to different things. Each of these, of course, will have their own types of cells put together, working together. And then the tissues. Many of these individual cells have their particular functions. Starting with epithelial. Again, for covering a surface, these are going to be cells that fit together rather tightly. They're relatively flat cells, well attached to the ones around them. And they will be on surfaces, say the outside of the body, skin, epithelial tissue there, or lining spaces in the body, say the inside of an organ, the lining of the digestive system, those types of things. And then it's attached to other things, membrane there. So epithelial, very important, regulating what goes in and what comes out. We need to protect our insides from stuff around us, and this is something I'm sure very much in mind with the virus. But there are some things we do want to come in, say food molecules. So absorbing food, processing what goes in and out, getting rid of waste. There are other things that we want to get out. For example, if we get too hot, want to put some sweat out, things like that. We also need to know what's around us. And so epithelial tissues will involve sensing as well. Gland secretion is typically epithelial. So anytime the body needs to produce a lot of something, that structure will tend to be made of epithelial cell, maybe one cell or multiple cells. These can be towards the interior of the body, making hormones. For example, the thyroid gland makes hormones that then travel through the body, helping regulate many aspects of metabolism. Or things that go to the outside. For example, sweat, milk, those are ones that are produced to go out of the body, and so they'll be on the surface. From epithelial, we move to the connective tissues. As the name suggests, a lot of these play a major role in helping hold things together and support things. For example, skeleton, that's made of connective tissue. But it's something of the everything else category, kind of like the ground tissue was in plants. Way back with cells, we noted that in addition to the cell itself, characteristically there's stuff outside. For example, bacteria, archaea, plants, and the algae have a cell wall. Of course, animals do not have that, but we do have various fibers and kind of sticky polysaccharides between the cells, helping hold them together and provide structure for a particular part of the body. There are several different styles of fibers. Typically, these include a lot of collagen. Collagen is a very strong protein, able to make sturdy fibers. For example, collagen in bone, with all that mineral around it, can last very long in the fossil record. That's one of the things that we've found. It's somewhat degraded over time, but remains of collagen protein in dinosaur bones, for example. Some of these fibers have a special protein, elastin, that allows them to stretch and go back to the original size. Others have a more complex structure. Reticular means branching, kind of a network pattern to them. So these help attach things relatively strongly with this complex network of fibers. Connective tissue comes in many styles. We can have looser or denser, just kind of the stuff that's attaching different parts of the body together. Again, we mentioned that the stretchy ones as important there. A lot of the fat in the body, it's stored for when you need more energy. And so that's in connective regions, the adipose or fatty tissue. Having some of that gives you some insulation, some padding so your organs don't bang into things. Of course, too much of it, that's not good for your health, but having the right amount is important, as with pretty much anything in life. Cartilage and bone in our skeletons, also important there. Connection. And the basic body fluids, blood, and then lymph. Lymph is the fluid that is not in the blood vessels, but in the body generally, and also there are a set of vessels for the lymph system. From connective, we move on to look at muscle. Muscles cause movement. Muscle cells are able to contract. They're actually able to pull proteins together kind of like that, and so make something shorter and pull things together. The cells themselves tend to be either cylinders or more spindle shaped, a little bigger in the middle and long skinny ends to either end. Again, the individual muscle fibers have those key proteins that are able to cause motion by contracting. Vertebrates have three distinct styles of muscle. To some extent, these can be recognized in other animals as well. Certainly, the more smooth versus more skeletal style muscle, those are found in a wide variety of invertebrates as well. Cardiac, not so much clear ones there. Skeletal muscles, as the name implies, typically are attached to things like parts of the skeleton. And these are the ones that we can decide to move. I want to move my hand. Okay, I used some skeletal muscles there. Cardiac muscle is in the heart. You do not want to have to say, I think I need to have my heart beat. Hey, heart, beat. Okay, if you forget, you're in trouble. And if you don't forget, you're kind of limited in how much you can pay attention to other things. So the heart has automatic signaling to tell it to beat. We don't have to consciously think about it, so it happens without our trying, so it's involuntary. Smooth muscle is typical of things such as our digestive system. Again, you don't want to have to think. Stomach start squeezing, process that food. Having that happen automatically when there's food there makes a whole lot more sense. And so again, that is involuntary for the smooth muscle. Different styles of muscle fibers in their shape. The skeletal and cardiac have striping relating to their structure. That's what striation means there. The smooth muscle does not have that striped look. Skeletal muscle typically are kind of multiple cells fused together. There are multiple nuclei within one part. We don't see that in the others. Skeletal muscles contract relatively fast. Smooth muscles relatively slow. Skeletal muscles can get tired out. You probably knows this if you've been running around active. You don't want your heart to get tired out. That wouldn't be good. It's able to keep going quite well. Likewise, your digestive muscles, they just keep doing their thing. They do not get fatigued and unable to keep going. So here are picture versions. Again, you can see the striping for our skeletal and cardiac, not in the smooth, the more spindle-shaped, big middle, tapered ends. And then our nervous tissue. And these include the neurons themselves and associated cells known as glial cells. Glial cells are not as well studied, but they provide very important roles in terms of support and protection. Can play a role in memory, lots of things there. So the function of neurons, again, is to receive and process and pass along signals. These may come from the outside or the inside. So for example, right now, hopefully you are paying attention to some signals coming from your ears about what I am saying. But also, you might happen to get a signal from your tummy saying, I'm hungry. That's an important internal signal. Okay, once you get a signal, then that needs to be sent on to where it needs to go. For example, to the brain to decide what to do with them. We also have neurons that are then carrying information between other neurons. And then once you get to the brain or sometimes spinal cord and make your decision, well then that response, that information needs to go back out to the body and lead to whatever action is appropriate.